congratulations on getting into UNH in the graduate program. My name is Jennifer Wendroth. I work for the Rape Crisis Center of Milford. I'm their college advocate, and you'll see my lovely face all around this campus. I'm here to help students who have been victims of sexual assault. I'm here doing presentations in the dorms, working with the peer educators, the Violence Intervention Prevention Center, the RAs, you name it. So you will be seeing me a lot on this campus. I also run programs just to let you guys know safety tips, preventative things that you can do. And if you do need to talk to somebody, if you have been a victim of sexual assault or you know somebody who has, I am available. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the presentation. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Now, the Clery Act. The Clery Act is actually something that every college in the United States is required to have. So that is why I am here today. Anytime that there is some kind of sexual assault, and actually starting January 1st, any form of domestic violence, it all has to get reported to the Clery Act. So every college in the United States is doing this. So if you report to a teacher or something, they do have to report for the Clery Act. They're not going to report a lot of information like your name and something like that. If you actually go to the campus police department, you will actually find a safety report that will list certain things like the sexual assaults, domestic violence, thefts, hate crimes, all that kind of thing. And every college in the United States is required to provide you this information. A couple things to know: there are some confidential resources on this campus. So with that being, while yes, we all have to report for the Clery Act, they do not have to report a lot of the information. So say you were a victim of sexual assault or domestic violence on this campus and you go to talk to one of them, they're only going to report that an incident occurred. They're not going to give your name, they're not going to give your address, your phone number. They are confidential resources. And it's a good thing to know who these confidential resources are. So, campus ministry, the counseling services, which is in the bottom of the Sheffield building, health services, which is also located in Sheffield, the college advocate, that's myself, and those are your confidential resources on campus. Now, Title IX. Again, all colleges have to abide by the Title IX compliance. What that is, if for some reason you file a complaint with the university, whether it's based sexual assault, domestic violence, any kind of complaint, and you feel for some reason that they just weren't doing things right, they weren't being fair, you think you're being discriminated against for some reason, Carol Kozatek is the Title IX coordinator. She's located in Bergami Hall, that's up that way where you're going to find Dunkin' Donuts up on the campus. So she's actually located there. She's the person that you would talk to and you could file a complaint. She's also there for faculty as well as students. So it's a great resource to have. I've worked with her. She's amazing. She's helped students out that needed it. So just try and keep that in the back of your mind. So now I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the facts of sexual assault. Most people don't realize how common an occurrent sexual assault is. And I'm not saying that it's just on this campus. I'm saying it is everywhere, not just in the United States, but all over the world. But most of the time, most people don't report about sexual assault, so we don't hear about it. Now, I can tell you, before I came and started working at the Rape Crisis Center of Milford, I worked up at the Sexual Assault Crisis Service in New Britain, Hartford. It's about 45 minutes away from here, and I worked with 12 universities up there. UNH has the best program going for victims who have been sexually assaulted. They're the best school out there that's doing the preventative programs, the bystander intervention things. So be very proud of the university that you guys are now going to. So sexual assault and the facts. I'm gonna kind of put it out there. Feel free to just shout out an answer. You guys are in college. You should be used to kind of participating. So first question. There was a study done, and it had college women, and blank percent of these college women actually met the study's definition that considered them and what happened to them to be rape. What is this percentage? Just shout it out.
30%.
Pretty good guess. 48.8. So pretty much half the people in this study actually were a victim of sexual assault, and they didn't know it because they didn't really know the definition of sexual assault, what rape was. Less than blank percent of campus sexual assaults are brought to the authorities. 70. And I also heard another answer over here. Did I hear somebody say 10? It's actually 5. So less than 5% of sexual assaults are actually brought to the campus authorities. So again, this is happening a lot on college campuses, everywhere in the world, no matter where you go, it's happening a lot. But a lot of times, college students don't feel that they can come and report it. And I want you to understand that on UNH's campus, they have a very good system in place, and to feel that you can come and report it, you have a lot of different options. Next, there's roughly 1 rape every blank minutes in the United States. 1 minute? Is that what I heard? 2 minutes. Pretty close. So every 2 minutes, there's roughly another sexual assault in the United States. Approximately every blank hours, there's another rape on a college campus. 21. So roughly, there's about a rape every day on the college campus. And last, between what and what percent of victims know their attackers?
5 to 10.
5 to 10? 80 to 90. Yeah, scary. So most of the time we know our attackers. Good guess, because a lot of the times we do think it is a stranger, somebody in a dark alley, somebody hiding behind a bush, but unfortunately it's actually people we know and we trust. And so who are these offenders? Shout it out. Who are these offenders that we know? Exactly. That girl's got it. It can be relative, boyfriend, girlfriend, your husband and wife. Yes, it is illegal to have sex with your husband and wife if they have not given consent. Your friend, your teacher, your boss, your roommate, they can be anyone. Okay, so again, 80 to 90% of the time they are somebody that we know and we trust. That's not to say that those stranger rapes don't happen, those back alley rapes that we quote unquote hear about in like Law and Order SVU or somebody hiding behind a bush. They do happen. But most times it is somebody that we know and we trust. So why don't victims report? And this has to do with that 5% of college students that don't report their assault. Or that actually do. That's only 5% that do. Anyone? Nobody? Okay.
Blackmailing.
Yeah, they could actually blackmail. You know, that's a really good point, because a lot of times people think that a person who is saying that they were sexually assaulted is quote-unquote crying rape, that it didn't happen. Actually, it's about 2% of rape victims that recant their story, and that's because a lot of the times they are being blackmailed. They are being threatened, a loved one's being threatened. So in that 2% that do recant, there is blackmail going on. But there's a lot of reasons why victims don't report. Again, they know their offender. Like the study showed, they don't recognize what happened to them. 50% of those young women didn't realize that they were actually a victim of sexual assault. They're embarrassed. I really have yet to meet a victim that was even close to being proud of being a rape victim. Scared who will find out. A lot of people don't want people to find out that this happened to them. They don't want to press charges, and they don't have support. And the number one reason is they blame themselves. It does not matter what a person was doing, what a person was wearing, drinking, who they were with. Sexual assault is never the victim's fault. And I really want to point out this for guys here. Guys can be victims of sexual assault. It's not just a crime that happens to women. Women can be perpetrators of sexual assault. Well, yes, the number one situation we see is a male being offender and a woman being the victim. The second highest rate is a male being the victim and a male being the offender. So, that might be a reason why a lot of times men don't come forward. Okay, what is sexual assault? So, like the study said, a lot of people don't realize what happened to them was sexual assault. Does anyone know what the definition of rape is? Well, I know some of you know. Maybe you're just a little shy. Come on, school's starting. Class participation, yes. Pretty much. But here's the thing. It's also any forced or unwanted contact. It could be oral, anal, vaginal. It could be with a penis, a finger, or an object. So let your mind kind of run there for a minute, and there's a lot of different ways somebody could be a victim of rape and not really know that that was rape. You must have consent to have any form of sexual contact with another person. And we're going to go into that a little more in a couple more slides. So, sexual contact, what do we think that is? Okay. Again, it's forced, it's unwanted, it's unwelcome, but it also includes touching of inappropriate body parts. So the breast, the penis, the buttocks, the inner thighs. It can be under clothes and it can be over clothes. Again, this is a crime. If you go up and you actually grab somebody's butt, that is a crime here in Connecticut. Now, I have a feeling there's a lot of, who's actually here from Connecticut? Yay, woo! All right, for all of you that are not here from Connecticut, doesn't matter if you came from another state, another country, while here as a UNH student, you must abide by the Connecticut laws. So, no matter where you came from and what your laws were there, you have to abide by these laws while you're here. So please keep that in mind. Also, I just want to point out that the university has a sexual assault misconduct policy. It's in your student handbook. Also, by being a student here, you are responsible for knowing what's in that sexual assault misconduct policy. You can find that on the internet, so please take a look at it. Again, you're responsible for knowing that information. So if an incident does occur, you can't say, well, I didn't know about it. You're here, you've been accepted to the university, you need to know about it. Welcome, ladies. Okay. The UNH Student Handbook. Now this is where I ask for class participation. We're going to take some direct statements from the university's handbook. So I'm going to ask for a couple volunteers to read the next slides. Hopefully we'll soak in a little better. So consent. Who wants to read what UNH defines consent as? Thank you. Thank you. A+. I wish I could go on like your report, but I can't. So anyway, consent must be informed and freely and actively given. It's the responsibility of the initiator to obtain clear and affirmative response at each stage of sexual involvement. So what does that mean? You can be messing around, hooking up with somebody, and you have a verbal yes from, you're saying yes, the other person saying yes, but it goes a step farther. you have to check in and get a verbal yes from your partner. Unless you get a verbal yes, you do not have consent to keep going. Next volunteer, please. I have all day. I don't have plans for the rest of the day. So. I can start singing the Jeopardy song. Anyone? Oh, I see a hand. Thank you. Thank you. Another A+. So the lack of a negative response, either verbal or physical, is not consent. You must have a verbal yes. Past consent to sexual activity does not imply ongoing future consent. So say you have a verbal yes from somebody 2 weeks ago, you're in the clear. 10 minutes ago, you're okay. 10 minutes later, you have to get a verbal yes for the second time. At each stage, for every time you have sex, you have to have a verbal consent. Yes. Another volunteer? Pretty please? Okay, all right, I'll do it. When a person is mentally incapacitated or physically helpless, the person is not capable of giving consent. A person is mentally incapacitated when such person, because of age, mental disability, or temporary mental incapacity due to intoxication by drugs or alcohol, lacks the awareness or judgment to be able to effectively give consent. So what does this mean? If somebody's intoxicated, if they've been drinking or doing drugs, they legally cannot give consent. So, even if you get the verbal yes out of somebody who's been doing drugs or has been drinking, it's not a legal yes. Do we have any questions regarding that? Please remember this. Okay? All right. So, do I need to have a contract before having sex? After what we just talked about, what do you guys think? No? No? Well, actually you do. You need to have a verbal contract. You need to get that yes. So, does this feel good? Hopefully you hear yes. Do you like this? Yes. Are you okay? Yes. How is this for you? Good. Do you want to keep going? Yes. If you get no for these, you cannot continue. Do you want to keep going? No. You have to stop. A person has the right to say no at any given time. So say you are messing around with somebody and you get the yes. Say you're actually having intercourse and you have a yes. A person has the right to change their mind in the middle of intercourse. They have the right to say no. They have the right to say stop. If you do not stop, you are legally now committing a crime. You are now raping that person. So, a person has the right to change their mind at any given time. Okay, checking in kills the mood. It does not kill the mood. Okay, who has seen this movie? Raise your hand. I see a guy's hand. Be proud. It's a great movie. Trust me. Most women would love to know that a guy has seen this movie. I only see like less than half a dozen hands. That's so not true. Yay. Okay, now I see the, okay, yeah, I've seen it. Good, good. This is a great movie. See it, even if it's just for the first half an hour so you can understand the scene I'm talking about. The Love Story Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. Great movie, great book. If you have some free time, watch it. There's a scene in the beginning where Noah and Allie decide to have sex for the first time. And they're in this abandoned house, and they're having sex. Noah actually checks in with Allie, and he's like, are you okay with this? Does this feel good? Do you want me to continue? And she's like, yes. And if you happen to see this in the movie theater, you heard, aww. And everyone's like, oh, he checked in. That's a good thing. It did not kill the mood. It was actually a turn on. So, when you're having intercourse, when you're hooking up with somebody, please check in. I promise you, it's not going to kill the mood, okay? Sounds good. Now, next one. I know that my partner just wants to do it. You can never, ever know that your partner just wants to do it. So, how many people know who this is? Mike Sorrentino, The Situation from Jersey Shore, MTV. I know it's been off for a year or so. All right, I'm going to see if this link plays, and hopefully it doesn't come out blasting loud. Let's see. Ooh, good thing I'm turning the volume down. Okay. It's a really quick link, but it kind of gets the point across. So let's see.
Susan, wake up. Let's talk about the blood security.
After all this, I feel bad I got a boyfriend. What? You should have felt bad at the club when I was grabbing up on your ass.
Okay. So, he had consent at the club when he was grabbing up on her ass. They were making out, doing whatever. They came home to the shore house, and guess what? He did not have consent. He thought that she was all ready to have sex and do whatever. And guess what? She wasn't. You never, ever can know that your partner just wants to do it. Prime example. Then, at the end, you see him, he's like, oh, like he's all frustrated. Well, don't tell me I have to go like all the way back through. Okay. A lot of people say, let's go to the next one. It's not fair to someone to get me all worked up and change their mind. So you saw Mike and he's all frustrated and he's throwing his hands down and everything. Well, the truth is, nobody's ever died of blue balls. Ha ha ha, get it funny? Wow, you guys are tough. Okay, so you can get a person worked up and they are not going to die from being sexually frustrated. This goes for females and males. Again, your partner has the right to change their mind. Okay, this is a question I get a lot. So what if people are both drunk? Again, you're not supposed to be having sex with somebody who's intoxicated, whether it's they're under the influence of drug or alcohol. So what happens when two people are drunk? We're going to use this little example. So you have two drunk people. One person driving and one person is walking. And the person who's driving, who's drunk and driving, hits the person who's drunk and walking. Who's responsible? Both? Yes, exactly. The person who's driving. You can be drunk and walking. You cannot be drunk and driving. So it's the person that initiated the fact to get into a car behind the wheel and drive. That's the initiator in this situation. So when you have two people who are drunk and have sex, again, probably shouldn't be having sex when you're that drunk, but it's the person that's initiating the sex. So, we have two drunk people. It's the person who's initiating the sex. That person is the one that's responsible. Do we understand this? Head nods would be good if we understand it. Shake your head if you don't, and that's completely fine. But please, please, please remember this. 90% of college sexual assaults involve alcohol. This is huge. Please remember this when going forward. Okay, regretting an action or feeling as though you made a mistake does not equal incapacitation. So, if you're sober and you have sex with somebody and you wake up the next morning or you go to leave and you're like, probably shouldn't have done that. How do I tell my girlfriend I just cheated on her? How do I tell my boyfriend I just cheated on them? How do I explain to my roommate or my parents why I didn't come home last night? Regretting an action does not equal incapacitation. It equals you made a mistake. We all make mistakes, but we learn from them and we move on. That's not sexual assault. So how do you know when somebody is incapacitated? So what are some signs that you might see on somebody to think, maybe I shouldn't be having sex with this person? Oh, come on. This one I gotta get some people to just shout out a reason why you would not have sex with somebody. I'll start it off. They're asleep. So if I was throwing up, would you have sex with me? Okay, let's go through these then. Somebody's blacking out. They're incapacitated. They've had too much to drink. Do not have sex with somebody who's blacking out. Throwing up. They have trouble standing. They're falling asleep. They're slurring their words. They're not acting like him or her. These are all signs that somebody's incapacitated. Here's the little thing though. It doesn't look the same for everyone. Some people may show no signs of incapacitation. I'll give you an example. I'm telling you the truth, I have an identical twin sister. Looks just like me. If we both were to go to the bar and, I don't know, have a margarita, things are fine. Maybe you give us another margarita. I'm still fine. My twin sister is not fine. You're going to notice a lot of talking. She probably can't stand. She's slurring her words. You can give me another margarita, maybe up to 4, and I probably will still be okay. Alcohol affects people in different ways. Yet, both of us cannot legally give consent to have sex. She's physically showing it. I have too much alcohol in my system. These are things that you need to be aware of when choosing to have intercourse with somebody. Okay, if a friend tells you that they've been assaulted, do you know what you would do? And it's okay if you don't. Most people don't. So, listen. Do not ask the why questions. Do not ask, why did you go there? Why did you drink that much? Why did you do this? Why did you trust that person? It does not matter what the answer to those why questions are. It is never, ever, ever a victim's fault. Do not report it. I know you want to report it, see the perpetrator charged, thrown in jail. It's up to the victim if they want to report it. So 3 things to be sure that your friend understands. You believe them. We have a 24-hour, 7 days a week hotline, and a lot of the times the people we have on the hotline has never heard that they are believed, that it's not their fault. Again, doesn't matter what they were doing and how brave they are for telling you. Your reaction to when somebody tells you they've been sexually assaulted could make or break it for this person for the rest of their lives. They may never tell another person that they've been sexually assaulted based on your response. They may not go to the hospital and have an evidence collection kit done. They may not report it to the police. They might not report it to the school. These are things you need to keep in mind. So, know the resources. This is a way to help them. Victims of sexual assault have options. They can report to the authorities. Campus police, UNH Sexual Assault Misconduct Board, that's Dean Baker. They can report to the West Haven Police. They don't have to report to anybody if they don't want to. Receive medical attention. They can go to the hospital to get checked out. They have the option to get an evidence collection kit. That kit has 13 steps. They have the choice that they can do all 13 steps or just one of them. That kit costs $1,000. If a victim goes to the hospital and has one step of that evidence collection kit, it's considered broken open. The state of Connecticut, the Office of Victim Services, pays for that kit. It is no cost to the victim to go to the hospital and have this kit done. To get checked out, make sure there's no STDs, be offered the morning after pill, offer prophylactics for any STDs they may have contracted during the assault. They can go to University of New Haven's Health Services. The campus actually offers the morning after pill right here on campus and is about half the cost of what you're going to pay at like CVS. They can talk to somebody about it. Myself, this is my job. I talk to sexual assault victims. A friend, a professor, your RD, your RA, counseling center, campus ministry, but know who your confidential resources are. Okay, so what can you do? Hopefully you've all seen the billboards. If you see something, say something or do something. So, if you see something's not right, say something. If you see that somebody's being slipped a roofie, say something. If you see somebody who's too intoxicated to be going off with somebody, say something. Intervene. It could be easy as saying, like, you're at a bar and you're seeing somebody that's too drunk and some pervert's hitting on the person. You could easily intervene and be like, oh my God, I know your mother. Totally throw the person off guard. Or report it to the bartender or the bouncer. Or if you're at a house party, don't let that person go upstairs with another person. Little things that you can do can actually stop a sexual assault from occurring. Okay. So creating a safe community. Be sure that you have your partner's consent. Don't allow victim blaming. I've heard a lot of rape jokes, like this test raped me, blah, blah, blah. It's not funny. There's nothing funny about it. And I can guarantee a test did not rape you. It may have been hard, you may have failed it, you may have aced it, but it did not rape you. And for a victim to hear that, you don't know who's around you. So 1 in 4 women will be sexually assaulted in their lifetime. 1 in 6 men. So look around. You could say a rape joke and you could be affecting a lot of people around you without even knowing it. You could be setting that victim back all the way to day 1. Know that you're in a completely different situation here at UNH. You're not at home anymore. A lot of these people are probably very new to you. You're not with the friends that you've known maybe 20 years. New situation, you're living in a new place. Recognize this. So people that you're trusting are a lot different than the people that you've been trusting your whole life. The red zone is where a lot of sexual assaults occur. It's usually between, in the fall, move-in day to Thanksgiving break. So for the spring semester, for a lot of you guys, it would be move-in day to probably about spring break because you're in a different situation. This is where a lot of sexual assaults occur. Okay. So myself, what am I? All of our services are completely confidential. Your name does not come out of your mouth. Your information does not come out of my mouth. And all of our services are free. We provide counseling. We have a 24-hour hotline. I come to the campus to meet students. If they don't want to meet on campus, they can come to my office. It's down the street on Boston Post Road, about 15 minutes away in Milford. I'll help you in navigating the next steps, what you want to do. I'm there during reporting to the police, getting an evidence collection kit, going through the court process, sentencing, everything. I'm here on campus doing presentations, trainings. I have 2 support groups that run on this campus. They will be run on Mondays from, I think it's 5 to 6. With the counseling center, and it's a closed support group, and the other one is an open support groups on Tuesdays from 5:30 to 6 in the Violence Prevention Intervention Center. Both of those locations are in the bottom of Sheffield. I'm here to help in any way I can. If you have questions for a friend, anything, do not hesitate to ask me. Give the hotline a call, whatever. I'm here to help no matter what. Okay. Now, we do also have to talk about relationship abuse. I know, more slides. I promise you this will go a little faster. So, what is relationship abuse? It's about control and power in an intimate relationship. Who experiences relationship abuse? Anyone? Well, I kind of gave it away by asking. What?
People in relationships.
Yeah, anyone. It's a relationship abuse can occur between current or former intimate partners who have dated, lived together, currently reside on or off campus, or otherwise connected through a past or existing relationship. Here's something that may be a little scary. If you go on one date with somebody, you're considered to have had a relationship with that person. If something happens down the road, some kind of abuse, That is a form of domestic violence that is illegal in the state of Connecticut. It can occur in opposite sex relationships and same-sex relationships. So, how often does it occur? About what percent of students report physical violence in their relationship? Heard somebody say something. About 30%. That's a lot. Blank percent and blank percent of students experience severe psychological aggression by a partner. Oh. It's less, but good guess. 24 to 30%. Blank percent of females and blank percent of male students experience a completed sexual assault. Well, we already talked about this. So it's 13.7 and 3.7%. Blank percent of females stalked since the start of a school year. 13%. Blank percent stalked by a boyfriend or an ex-boyfriend. 43%. And we're going to talk a little bit about stalking so you guys can understand what that exactly is in Connecticut. So abusive behaviors, physical, it's the hitting, punching, slapping, spitting, scratching. Verbal, name calling, making humiliating comments, gestures, threats, that sort of thing. Psychological, isolating a person from friends, the silent treatment, destroying somebody's personal property, threatening to harm a person's loved one, and pets. Pets is actually a huge thing in abusive relationships. And sexual violence, sexual assault, rape. Okay. So, circle of violence. Hopefully you've seen this. If not, you will see it in your classes here at UNH. So, starts off the honeymoon stage. Everything's just hunky-dory, flowers and candy, everything. And then tension, and you're like, what's going on? Like, you feel like you're walking on eggshells, like everything that you do could be wrong. And then the violence occurs, and something happens, an explosion. It's where you're getting physically abused. And then comes the apologies and you're back to the honeymoon stage. And usually it takes a victim 7 times to go through this circle of violence before they try to attempt to leave a relationship. So what is stalking? It's repeated, directed towards a person. It's unwelcomed. It can produce fear, a lot of emotional distress, and it can occur during the relationship or after the relationship. So following a person around, constantly calling them, tracking them, all different things. So stalking behaviors: making threats, harassing friends or family, destroying property, spreading rumors, assaulting a person, contacting them when they don't want to be contacted, surveillance and monitoring. Very easy to get a hold of tracking devices and cameras. Getting personal information. So electronic stalking. So these are these devices. So emailing, texting, videoing somebody when they don't know what's going on. Little bugs. They are so tiny, those things. They can put any place. GPS devices. They're about as big as a cell phone. And all you have to do is walk by a car and clip it onto something metal underneath. Walk by later, pull it off, you can see where the person's been. Or you can have it hooked up to your cell phone or your computer, and you can literally track where they're going as their car is moving. Posting internet sites about the victim, Facebook, it's great to find your old friends and everything like that. It's like the worst thing out there. Too much information, it's so easy to destroy a person's life. And computer spyware. Seeing where a person's gone on the internet, tracking what they're typing. So the Connecticut domestic laws, okay. They apply to a member of that person's family, their household, a former spouse, a person who has recently lived, or a person whom one has a child with, even if the persons have never been married, a person with whom has been recently in a dating relationship. So these laws all apply to these people. Again, remember, one date, and this law applies to you. Family members include parent, child, brother, sister, spouse, anyone you can think of, aunt, uncle, cousin. They do apply to same-sex marriages, same-sex relationships, transgender, bisexual individuals, couples. It applies to everybody. It also applies to anybody regarding their immigration status. So if you are an illegal immigrant here, you are protected underneath this law. Mandatory arrest and probable cause. So mandatory arrest. Police officer comes to situation, sees that there's enough facts to indicate that domestic violence crime has probably occurred. They must arrest the offending party. Probable cause, they actually see stuff around, like there's broken dishes, holes in the walls. Here's something that you need to be aware of though. A lot of times recently, both parties are getting arrested. Please keep that in mind. So if a police officer shows up to a scene and you're like, he just beat the crap out of me, he can easily go, well, she just beat the crap out of me. And unfortunately, whether it's true or not, who is being physically assaulted, both parties do get arrested. Okay, stalking laws. Third degree, you're causing somebody to have fear for their safety by following them. Second degree, course of conduct that will cause a person to fear for their safety and also their employment or their career is threatened. First degree, you're following them and you've actually, it's part of the second degree, and then you've actually gone ahead and you've had a previous stalking conviction, a violation of something that you have in court, or when the victim's under 16. Okay, just going to go through a couple of these little scenarios and then you guys will be free to go. So this, I need participation. So, Gina and Tim have been together for almost 2 years. Ever since Gina started talking about applying to graduate schools out of state, Tim has become increasingly jealous and irate, sulking, storming around, making nasty comments, and calling her names. When Gina told him to grow up, he grabbed her by the shoulders and shook her. He then threw her iPad across the room. She nervously collected her stuff and went outside. Do the law applies here? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, good job. Okay, let's see. He's calling her names. He grabbed her by the shoulder, and he destroyed her property by throwing her iPad across the room. Amanda was with Brandon for a couple months before she started her first year at UNH. She broke up with him right before she left for school. Although he goes to college across the state now, Brandon shows up on the UNH campus at least once a week. Last Tuesday, she saw him sitting in his car when she came out of class. Yesterday, she stopped for a cup of coffee, and he was sitting right there in the booth on his phone. Although Amanda is getting the creep, she has been afraid to confront him. She's thinking about calling the police. Do the laws apply here? The laws do not apply here. What she needs to do for the laws to apply here is to start keeping track of this. Report it to the police. Take photos that he's here all the time. He can say, well, I came here to see another friend. So it's really important when there is a stalking situation going on to keep a record of what's going on. Evidence, you need evidence. Go to the police, let them know that this situation is going on. Once you start doing this, the laws will start to apply. Okay. Tanya and Dee have been together since they started school at UNH 3 years ago. They now share an apartment off campus. Dee recently quit all sports and activities, thinking it would make for a more peaceful home life. She was sick of being interrogated by Tanya when she got home and couldn't stand Tanya's constant phone calls and texts while she was out. Now when they argue, Tanya threatens to out Dee to her parents and also force Dee to have makeup sex. Dee is scared and confused. Tanya has never hit her and never threatened to harm her. She feels she needs to do something but doesn't know where to turn and if anyone believes her. Do the laws apply here? They do apply. Because she's threatening to out her and she's also committing rape. She's forcing her to have makeup sex, sexual assault. So, Some obstacles facing the college students with relationships. They don't have a lot of experience in relationships. They're not sure what's healthy, what's not healthy. They have trouble recognizing the abuse. They're away from home the first time. Again, a lot of those red zone things that we talked about. They're afraid of retaliation from their perpetrator. They're worried who will find out. They're fearful of the rights of reporting the procedures, and their fear of the other person standing at UNH. It does not matter what standing this person has, athlete, scholar, frat, sorority, that does not matter. The victim has the standing here at UNH. So where to get help? The counseling center, campus police, my drop-in hours, which are on Wednesdays. No, is it Wednesdays? Yes, Wednesdays from 10 to 12:30 in the counseling center. Health services, the dean's office, and Office of Residential Life. Off campus, Rape Crisis Center of Milford, that's my office. Center for Domestic Violence Services, they're located in Ansonia. Stalking Resource Center, you can find all their information online. We have my services down twice because I'm that important. 911, and there's a whole list of others, and if you need them, please contact me. So, I am available by appointment anytime. We have a 24-hour hotline. This is the number. My drop-in hours, again, Wednesday from 10 to 12:30 in Counseling Center, back of Sheffield, on the bottom floor. You can contact me at my email address. I also actually have a UNH email address, and it's just mrcc@New Haven. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Hopefully, you will never need my services, but you never know who else might. A friend, a family. If you have questions about an out-of-state situation, contact me. I can get that information for you. Any questions? Thank you guys so much, and good luck.